And so, Diehard Boxing, I want to welcome Willie Monroe Jr. to our show and our page. Willie has an impressive record of 21-2. He's been a pro boxer since 2008, comes from a long line of boxers, grandfather, father, great uncle, and he's just an exciting fighter to watch, very humble and fan friendly. So we appreciate the opportunity to interview El Mongoose.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, just to get started, Willie, how long have you been boxing?
I've been boxing since the age of 6. My grandfather started me. Probably before then, I have pictures of me in diapers with gloves, but I actually stepped into a gym and actually sparred for the first time with other kids at the age of 6. And that's the history. I've been doing this about 24 years deep. I had 142 amateur fights, 128 wins, 14 losses, 72 knockouts, 3 national titles. Was that?
Yeah, so you've been the truth. That's pretty impressive record in the amateur. So a solid amateur career. Who are some of the notable names that you faced in the amateurs?
Sean Porter. I lost to Sean Porter in Olympic qualifiers for the 2018, and then he became Olympic alternate. So if I'd have beat him at worst, I would have been Olympic alternate 2008. But I lost to Sean Porter. I fought a kid, Nick Brinson.
Yeah.
I beat him 5 out of 6 times. He is a top middleweight. The list goes on, man. A lot of the who's who of boxing right now, I've been in there with them as amateurs. Jonathan Cepeda, all of these top guys have been in there with them.
So, yeah, pretty impressive. And so after losing the Olympic alternate to Showtime Porter, you went on to turn pro that same year, right?
I beg your pardon?
I said after losing the alternate for the Olympic spot to Sean Porter, you went to turn pro that same year in 2008. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, the Olympic qualifiers were in the summer of 2007, because they make the team
That's
before.
Right.
So they pretty much put the team together the year before the Olympics. So 2008, I turned pro. I just felt like it was nothing else for me to do in amateurs. I had almost 150 amateur fights, a couple of national titles. I was like, it might as well just, it sounds like LeBron would say, time for me to take my talents to the pros.
That's right. Yeah. So in 2008, you made your pro debut, and just rising up the ranks. So I know that you're from Rochester, New York, and your first pro fight was at home. What was that experience fighting pro in front of your hometown for the first time?
It was awesome, and it was a great experience, and it was a great opportunity because I already had a big fan base because of what I had accomplished in the amateurs. So it was a really big moment. My first couple pro fights at home, for people to really come out and see, could I hang?
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of good amateurs, and then they turn pro, and they're not that good. And then there's vice versa. A lot of guys who aren't good amateurs turn pro and become world champions. And I'm just glad I'm able to hold down, been able to hold down both.
Absolutely. And so fighting in front of your hometown team, again, you come from a great line of boxers. I know that your uncle, who you're named after, I believe, he once defeated Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He handed him his second loss, if my memory serves me correctly. So how is that? How is that for you, just having that family namesake and just that lineage and carrying the Monroe name into boxing? Is that more pressure to you, or did you just kind of ride with that and saying, I'm just going to represent for my family?
Well, actually, I wasn't named after my uncle. That's my great uncle.
Oh, your great uncle.
And my grandfather named his son, who's my father, after his brother, and my father was a top middleweight and super middleweight in the 90s, and I was named after my father. So that lineage is strong. You know what I mean? From my great uncle to my dad, now to myself. And I mean, on my grandfather's side of the family, my uncle included, obviously, that's his brother. You know, they're Afro-Cubans, so, you know, boxing is big in Cuba. So,
Yes.
you know, my great grandfather was from the island. You know, he instilled those morals and values along with boxing into them. So it's almost just like, you know, family tradition, you know, and there's no pressure on me. I feel like there's no pressure on me, you know what I mean? Because, you know, people are going to say what they're going to say, they're going to do what they're going to do. People are going to talk how they feel. You know, I'm here to live the career of Willie Monroe Jr. and, you know, no one else.
That's right. That's right. So where did the El Mongoose moniker come from?
Well, like I said, I'm Afro-Cuban. Well, my grandfather's Afro-Cuban, so, you know, I'm part Afro-Cuban. And, you know, a good friend of mine, Sammy Torres, gave me that name, you know, when he, you know, came to the gym and watched me train. You know, he was like, man, you move like a mongoose. And I'm like, you know, this is like when I was younger. And I'm like, what the heck is a mongoose? You know, he showed me this video, you know, a mongoose versus a cobra.
Yes.
And I looked at the video and I'm like, you know, by golly, that does look like me. You know, a mongoose is, they're very fast. They're very, you know, their reflexes are one of a kind, you know, and you know, a mongoose doesn't look like it would hurt anybody. You know what I mean? You see these cute little furry animals, and you think, oh man, I want to pet them, and then when it's time to turn up, they turn up, and you know that's who I am. You know what I mean? People, you know, a bunch of fighters have said it. Oh, he's a little pretty boy. Mm-hmm. Oh, this, that, and the third. He's too worried about being than he is about fighting. And then when they get in there and taste it, they find out that it's a lot different. So I'm very reminiscent to a mongoose in so many different ways.
Yeah, that's super dope. And I do see that. I've actually watching National Geographic seeing a mongoose defeat a black mamba. So I do see that in your style, and it's a perfect moniker in my opinion. Speaking of your style, you have that slick Cuban footwork. I see that, so you're heavily influenced by the Cuban boxing school, is that correct?
Yeah, because it's part of my culture and that's how I was raised. And I mean, you know, most young, you know, African American fighters fight like that also, you know, with style, charisma. You know, I mean, they, you know, that's more of a Cuban or African American style. You know, both of them go hand in hand. You know, if you look at somebody like Pernell Whitaker or Melvin Taylor, you know, they're not Cuban, but they have that same style, and it's just, you know, it's a mixture of both.
Exactly. So I see you because I follow you on Instagram and I follow your other social media pages. I see that you pretty much stay in shape, I mean, year round, and you're always working, even with downtime. I see you working on your footwork. You got the Cuban music in the background or just the salsa going. So what motivates you to continue on even with downtime, even if you can't get land the fights?
For my family. You know, obviously, you know, I have to keep a roof over my family's head. And I'm more motivated by the fact that I know that nothing is given. I'm one of the few fighters, you know, at the top of, you know, the rankings in my weight class who never had a push. You know, a lot of these other guys have investors behind them. They have management behind them.
Yeah.
You know, like great management with big money. You know, these guys are given money and they don't have to work a job, and they're always, you know, their whole thing through management was here. You know, here's a house, here's a nice little car, or we'll pay your rent up. Your job is to stay in the gym. Mm-hmm. And I took the road less traveled. You know, I never had that. You know, I had to work 2 jobs. And while I was going to school, you know, I didn't go back to school for another semester right after the Olympic qualifiers, because I was at the Olympic qualifiers while I was going to school online.
Wow.
So I had my computer in my hotel room at the Olympic qualifiers. I'll be doing homework and then fighting that night and doing homework, and you know what I'm saying?
That's amazing.
So I pretty much paved this road for myself, and that's why I stay ready, because you know, I have a family to take care of, and you know, I'm close to God, and I told God that if He blessed me to get to a point, in my career to where I no longer had to work 2 jobs alongside of fighting to take care of my family, that I wouldn't take it for granted and that I would keep my behind in the gym.
Amen.
And God has blessed me to get to a point to make, just enough money to where I don't have to go work a 9 to 5 to support my family. So I have to hold up my end of the bargain, which is stay in the gym and train twice a day. And another thing that motivates me is the fact that nothing has ever been given. I've always had to go and take. I've always had to go in other guys' backyards and fight the tough fights and fight guys 2 weight classes heavier than me just to get the fights. You know what I mean? Like when I fought Gabriel Rosado, a lot of people were complaining, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Well, nobody, you guys don't understand that I was given that fight on a 3.5 week notice. These guys who are taken care of, by management and big name promoters and big name advisors. When it comes down to a 12-round fight, they got 8 and 10 week training camps. You know what I mean? They got, and any fighter can tell you, even if a fighter stays in shape year round, there's nothing like having an 8-week camp to prepare for a big fight.
Exactly.
And I didn't have that for the Gabriel Rosado fight. Here we are, 12-round co-feature on
Canelo
pay-per-view, and I had a little under a month to put everything together and make sure I went and won, and that's what I did. So the motivation of knowing that nothing is given, you know what I mean, and I've been given a bunch of fights on 3, 2, 4 week notice, you know what I mean, to be at, everybody gets to the top differently, and I've traveled the road less traveled, and that's what motivates me to keep my behind in shape, because I never know when I'm going to get that call. But when I get that call, trust and believe, I'll be ready.
Right. Like they say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I can just tell by your work ethic that's just you. So you stay ready. Like you said, you have a family to feed. So going back just to your last fight, which was Gabriel Rosado, where you're the current WBO Intercontinental Middleweight Champion. I wanted the fans to know that. So going back to the Gabriel Rosado fight back in September, it was dubbed as a match that the winner would go on or could possibly go on to face Canelo Alvarez. How frustrating is it for you to have the praises of Golden Boy and Eric Gomez saying that you're a really great fighter and you deserve to be there, and then Canelo's trainer in his camp basically overlooking you, and they go on to fight Chavez and now Golovkin, which you faced back in 2015. So how frustrating is that for you, and how do you stay motivated when you're not, getting the fights that you deserve and that fans know you deserve?
Well, it was frustrating at first, but like I said, I believe in God, and God doesn't make mistakes, and I understand that it gets greater later, and this is part of the process. You have to trust the process. I hate the fact that they teased me with a contract. They sent me 2 contracts, which I think they sent me the contracts arrogantly, because I think that they really thought that Gabriel Rosado was going to beat me, especially given the fact that they gave me the fight, on a little less than a month notice. Like, Gabriel Rosado had all the chips in his favor to beat me, but I surprised everybody. But not only did I beat him fairly easy. You did. So, I'm pretty sure they were looking like, this is it. Like I said, these guys, Canelo has Golden Boy behind him. He has a big money machine behind him, and they're making money with him. So, if I've invested so much money into a fighter and I've turned him into a superstar, he's a cash cow right now. That's where Mayweather's gone. He's the biggest fighter in boxing. We have to protect that investment. Yeah. And why make the mistake of putting him in there with a Willie Monroe who can give him trouble and potentially beat him? Willie Monroe has it, and then on top of that, I lost to Golovkin. So I understand where it's coming from on their behalf about protecting their investment. But as men, I think we should all say good on our word, But, it is what it is. I have to trust the process. Golden Boy, Eric Gomez and Rob Diaz and Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins, they're businessmen, and they're very smart businessmen. And they're actually the type of businessmen I hope to become. So this is the learning process for me. So I'm not mad at it. I was kind of disappointed. But, God said be anxious for nothing. This fight could potentially still happen down the road and be way bigger. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
And I'll look back and say, I'm glad that it happened this way. So I can't be mad at it. You know what I mean? All I can do is trust the process and continue to do what I do, which is work hard and show up on notice and work behind.
Exactly. That's right. Willie, you got some preaching in you, I see. And that's why God is going to deliver on his word. So you keep trusting the process. So I just had to say that's my little aside. But because I know God doesn't make any mistakes. With your style, you do have a very difficult style to deal with. I think you're a very crafty boxer. You move around a lot. You select your punches. You're very defensive as well. And you use, your shots your jab to control the outside distance. You set up your shots beautifully. And your footwork also helps to me to set up your offense. And so I can tell that you take your craft very seriously. And I hope fans know that you're always game to fight. I remember probably a few years ago reading up on you and listening to, I think it was an interview headed into the 2014 boxing championship that you won, and that sometimes you would take fights without any sparring partners. You didn't have, like you said, that you don't get preparation time sometimes to train for a fight. You don't get the 8-week training camps. So I heard somewhere that you had 5 fights where you had, no sparring partners at all. How true is that rumor?
No, actually, I fell off a split decision to Darnell Boone early in my career. The team I was with sort of just did away with me. I don't want to talk bad about them, but the truth of the matter is, it was almost like I was no good to them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
With Trinity won with a split decision loss, so I had to pack up all my things, move back to Rochester.
Wow.
I still had 2 jobs. I had to tell the jobs I was working at. I couldn't give them a 2-week notice. It was almost like, it's Monday and I ain't gonna be here Thursday because I gotta go back. I gotta move back to Rochester. I had to move back to Rochester, which is only 2 hours away from Ithaca. And God blessed me with 2 more jobs. I was able to land 2 jobs when I got back home at Foot Locker and Harris Communications.
That's
and at Harris Communications, the person who's my head trainer now, TJ Nolan, we hooked back up at Harris Communications. We were both working there, and I told him my story, and because we knew each other from the amateurs. He had a great amateur career, and then he went on to the military and did 2 years in Iraq and everything. He's a great person, and once he came back and we were working at this job together, he was like, it's crazy that things like this are happening because I've been trying to get back into boxing and I just don't know how. I've been out of it so long. So me and him just started building and started, meeting up every night at Planet Fitness and running 5 miles and talking about starting a gym. So what TJ did is he pretty much gutted his whole gutted his whole garage and turned it into a gym. A 2.5-car garage, and we had a heavy bag, an 80-pound Everlast heavy bag.
Wow.
I ordered a double M bag off of Amazon, and then we hung a tire. If you look at this, a lot of the Cuban boxing drills, they hit tires to work on bobbing and weaving while touching on the tire, almost like the uppercut bag.
Yep.
And that's all we had in that gym.
In the garage, a 2-car garage, you set up all of this, gutted the garage, as you said, ordered equipment off of Amazon, and that's the love. That's love.
We went on Amazon and ordered, some, because we didn't have money like that, so we ordered, we ordered a couple of little equipment, and I had some gloves and stuff that I had already had, and we started training. And maybe 8 months later, we got a comeback fight in our hometown. We had no sparring, and we had 2 comeback fights, and then I went on the road to fight in other guys' backyard. Like I was telling you, I fought a couple super middleweight guys, and we did all of this with no sparring. And we fought 5 fights, how you doing, out of a garage. And, I would ride my bike to work and then ride my bike to the gym, to make up for the running that I wasn't getting because I was working 2 jobs. And we trained in that garage, every day. And after Boxino, after we made a little bit of money in Boxino, and got a business plan together, we opened up a big gym. And we named it Fight Factory. We were at we would be when we were talking about the garage, turning the garage into a gym. We'd be at Planet Fitness, and when you dream, you plan. You think about what you want.
Write the vision, make it plain.
Yeah, we came up with two. We came up with two names for the gym. I came up with Fight Factory, and TJ came up with Lions Den. And what's so funny is TJ liked my name better than I did, and I liked his name. I was like, nah, we should really use the Lions Den. And he's like, nah, we're gonna go with Fight Factory. We're gonna go with Fight Factory. So when we were in the garage, we just started calling it Fight Factory. We spoke it into existence. So the man thinks so shall he be, right?
That's right.
So we just turned that garage into a gym, and we fought 5 times, 2 times at home, 3 times on the road, no sparring, no special preparation. In between the camps, in between those fights, I have to thank Randall Bailey, Miguel Cotto, and Austin Trout because they needed sparring, and I went out and sparred with them, and they paid me well. So that was really the only sparring I got over the course of those
and those are some big
years,
names. I mean, Austin, no doubt, Trout, Miguel Cotto, that's huge to be able to get that kind of work as you're trying to relaunch the second half of your career.
Yeah, God put me in a great position. I didn't understand it and it didn't feel good at the moment, but I learned so much. And, next thing I know, we got the Boxino call, and I was the first one to sign a contract for Boxino, not knowing who the other 7 guys were going to be. It was different middleweights humming and high, and like, I don't want to sign up for it yet until I find out who's in it. I was the first person to sign a contract for it, not knowing who the other 7 guys were. So, somebody at the Larkin, statue could have been in the tournament, and I was already locked in. I just didn't care. I was like, look, I feel like I'm one of the baddest. I feel like I'm one of the best athletes, not just fighter, and we're gonna go do this. And I forgot to mention while we were in the garage is where I became really good with my now strength and conditioning coach. I always knew him, but I never knew he was on to being a personal trainer. And next thing I know, he was teaching me stuff, and I was, breaking ribs in the gym and hurting guys. So I said, look, man, you're part of the team now. And we just put our team together, man, and slowly but surely, we got back to it. And when we were in Boxino, I was the least favorite to win. Teddy Atlas was giving me a bunch of crap and saying, oh, he doesn't do this, he doesn't throw enough punches, he's not strong, he's not powerful at middleweight, blah, 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 blah. And the guy that was supposed to win, that they said was going to win, was the Ukrainian kid, Vitaly Kovalenko. And when I fought him, I was a 5-1 underdog in Vegas, and everybody had me being knocked out by the 4th round. And I went in there and pretty much displayed A1 boxing skills. He was 23-0 with 13 knockouts, and supposed to be the class of the tournament. And I took him out.
Yep, you took him out. I watched that fight on ESPN, and you showed up and showed out. And I really felt, I just knew, I was like, this is it. This is his moment. This is, Willie is the truth. And I think everybody who watched that tournament just seen something special in you. And you show being an underdog in Vegas and not up to win and just coming out and displaying that just the heart of a champion. Like I consider, when you said that you guys consider calling it the Lion's Den, and your boy loving your name, I just seen a lion flash before my eyes like that's the heart of a lion. You truly have that. And so I was impressed. I think that 2014, that was just an impressive display. And then you go on to face Triple G. And to me, I would say you gave the blueprint to beat him. It didn't turn out in your favor at that time, and I think you deserve a rematch. But you gave the blueprint, being down twice in the second round, coming back, just mounting up a beautiful comeback in the fourth, into the fifth round, just hitting them at will. Beautiful combinations, footwork, just everything. He became less of a boogeyman, just fighting you. So what was that experience like? And just, again, a lot of people, although his resume wasn't as impressive as some of the fighters at 160 and just his story, but again, he was knocking out everybody that he came in contact with and stocking them, and you went toe-to-toe with him. How was that experience for you?
The Golovkin fight was kind of a pivotal moment in my life, and it taught me a lot about myself. Because, you know, sometimes God will test you.
That's
and
right.
Sometimes God will say, okay, you put in all this work. I've given you something. Now I'm going to pull back just a little bit and see how you react. And will you react accordingly? You know, I listened to this one pastor named Steve Furtick, and he talks about the power of the pull, and he uses a bow and arrow, you know, in his sermon, and he shows people that get the push. You know, when you put the arrow in there and you push it, it only goes so far. But the further back you pull it,
that archer drawing it back.
There's some strength and power that's coming with that arrow that you can never get from a push.
That's good.
You know, so he talks about the power of the pull, and I think that was one point in my life where, you know, God said, I'm about to pull you back a little bit and set you up in a different direction that you don't see, but it'll work out for you and my favor. And I wavered in faith, and I just thought God had forgot about me, you know, because I had recently lost my grandfather, and I didn't have the time to properly mourn.
Yeah.
And
my condolences, by the way.
And you know, but no problem. Thank you. And you know, my grandfather, who taught me how to fight. You know, my grandparents raised me from a month old. Like that is my dad.
Yes.
And you know, it was a really, really rough time. And you know, the training camp had got messed up, and I found out what it was like to be on the B side. You know what I mean? Well, I was always on the B side. I'm talking about B side to a true A side. You know, Golovkin's the true A side, and I found out what it was like. You know, here I am, this nice guy, just thinking, oh, I've won all of these fights. I'm finally getting a little respect in boxing. Okay, you know, this is cool. Let me keep being the nice guy, and they'll love me. And being a nice guy is what got me, you know, sort of messed up. You know what I mean? Not on top of the fact that Golovkin's tremendous talent, you know, a tremendous puncher.
Yeah.
But, you know, going into the fight, my head trainer that I was with at the time, that I had hired, you know, Tony Morgan, who's the mastermind behind Andre Berto before he, you know, left and went with Virgil Hunter. But, you know, he got into some really sticky trouble the first week of training camp that hit national news. And, you know, all of the write-ups and stuff were more about me than him. And I don't fault him. I don't fault anyone. You know, he made a mistake. Right. You know, that's why pencils have erasers. But people took that as an opportunity to attack me. You know, they attacked my integrity, my beliefs. You know, they were saying, oh, he's supposed to be a man of God, but he's affiliated with, you know, a drug dealer and la 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 la. And I'm like, well, you know, y'all like I knew what was going on. Exactly. I was at the gym waiting, you know. I didn't do it, but the media put a spin on it and just made me feel really, really bad. Like, you know, leading up to that fight, I shut down all my social media and everything. Because it was people that had my phone number, and I had to ask them, how did you get my personal number to be asking me these questions? Who's giving my number out?
Right.
You know? And it was tough. It was real tough leading up to the fight. And then the WBC put out this big write-up about me saying that Willie Monroe failed to comply to the WBC weigh-in rules. He will not be fighting for the WBC title, in which Golovkin was WBC silver, Miguel Cotto was still WBC champion.
Yeah.
And I was only rated like number 13 by the WBC at the time. I was rated number 2 by the WBA.
Wow.
So when we signed our contract, we signed to fight for the WBA and no other title. But the way they put it out there made me look even worse. So now you have people saying, "Oh, he's probably on steroids, or he's not doing this, or he's not." It was just bad.
Just dragging
So
you
I had
to the
to block
mud.
block all of that out. And then somebody must have thought I was on something, because I got there when we got to California. The day of the fight, they made me do 2 urine tests.
Oh, wow. I
3,
didn't know the 3. Wow.
I did 3 urine tests. You're supposed to do 2, one before the fight,
Yep.
one after. I gave 1, and then one guy from the commission came into the room and was like, "You got to give another urine test." I'm like, "Yo, why?" They didn't have a reason. I said, "You know what? That's just the devil trying to mess with me. I'm hydrated. I ain't even questioning it. Let's go give him another urine test."
Mm-hmm.
Those are a lot of the little nuances that I just didn't understand on that level. Being 19-1, hadn't fought on, the championship level, and I'm in an arena of 15,000 people and 14,990 are for him.
Yeah, you were you were in enemy's territory even. So.
Yeah, it was tough. And please don't take this as me taking any credit away from Golovkin, because Golovkin's a tremendous fighter, and that shows. I mean, he's undisputed, middleweight champion right now, and the lineal middleweight champion. There's nothing no one can do to take that from him, and he's earned it. And I would never take any credit from him. I'm just letting you know the things that were on my mind, the things I had to deal with going into the fight.
Right.
And it was scary. One day while we were in LA, so we went out there about 5 or 6 days before the fight. We had to be in LA. One day I just wouldn't leave my hotel room. And I had my publicist tell everybody I'm not doing any interviews. I don't want to do any more interviews, because you want to do interviews and give people what they want, but the interviews started becoming very antagonistic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
The interviews weren't like on level playing fields. The interviews were more or less like
trying to discredit you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think you deserve? Why do you think you deserve this? And what makes you think you've earned a shot at Golovkin? It was more or less like, you're not supposed to be here. And I just said, you know what? I don't want to do any more interviews. Unless it's like Boxeo Cubano or the Boxing Boys or Fight Hype.
Some people who truly have your back or are fair and balanced.
What's that?
I said people who truly have your back in the media, who are fair and balanced, instead of, again, being antagonistic, like you don't deserve to be there.
Yeah. It's just, as a grown man, I'm sitting in my hotel room feeling like a kid. Like, dang, did I do something wrong? I bust my behind to get here like everybody else. But, nevertheless, things went the way they went. I gave a good account of myself.
Absolutely.
And that moment at that time, I think, was just too big for me. And God showed me that. But it's not about, they say in life, it's 10% of life is what happens to us, and 90% of it is how we react to it.
That's true.
And, I didn't. I was out of the ring another 13 months. The phone wasn't ringing. I didn't get anything. I had an ex-manager who was trying to be greedy and sued me for money that he definitely didn't earn. By the way, we won that case. I can't really speak on the logistics of it, but I'm definitely in a different and better spot now.
Great.
But I came back and beat a former world challenger, John Thompson.
Yep, I remember that fight.
John Thompson. What's that?
I said I remember that fight. Yep.
And John Thompson had just came back from overseas himself, fighting Liam Smith in a fight he was winning. Liam Smith stopped him, but on all 3 judges' scorecards,
he was up.
John Thompson was ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how people try to say, "Oh, that guy is nothing." I'm like, that guy is nothing. He was beating the guy that Canelo just beat. So how is he nothing?
That's right. And he was a 2015 Boxino middleweight champion.
Yeah, he won the Boxino in 2015.
Yep. And you dropped him twice in that to go ahead and win a unanimous decision. I remember that fight well.
dragged me twice, and then we got the Rosado fight, like I said, on a short notice. But, you know, this shows my application to the game. You know, how many guys have you seen, you know, have layoffs, and when they come back, they're like, nah, I need to fight at, you know, if they fight at 154, they're like, nah, this fight needs to be at 157. I've been out of the ring too long.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, they'll take a 4-month layoff, and then they got to come back at 2 or 3 pounds over the actual weight class because they don't feel comfortable making the weight. After every layoff, I've came back at the same weight. And the only way you do that is if you keep your behind in the gym. And that shows my application and my respect for the game.
That's right.
You know, I don't smoke, I don't drink. You know, I don't party. I'm a family man. I have a wife and 2 kids and 1 on the way.
Congratulations. Oh my gosh. On the newest addition to your family soon.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, and it's funny because people never talk about the positive things. You know, you got these fighters who come in overweight and don't care, and, you know, they'll pay their weight to, you know, so that the fight can still go on, and they'll lose money on the way in.
Yeah.
You know, I've always come in somewhere between 1.5 pounds to right on weight. You know what I mean? I've never, you know, disrespected the sport. You know, nobody has ever caught any, you know, performance enhancement drugs on me or nothing. You know what I mean? And they continue to still try to find a way to minimize Willie Monroe.
Exactly. But you kept on, in spite of that, you keep grinding, Willie, and I think that's what I respect, and I think that's what fight fans and people around the sport have to respect about you, that you keep grinding, you keep working, even against our odds, even as being viewed as the underdog, when you've proven yourself time and time again in the sport. I mean, you're very humble. And I know all of those experiences have something to do with it, and your faith in God, most importantly, and the support of your beautiful wife and your children and your family. You definitely have something to fight for. But I love the drive. I love the ambition. I love the grind that you have. And what's next for Willie Monroe?
We're hoping for a fight this summer. We didn't get the Canelo fight, so... You know, that's out of the window. So we were hoping to get, you know, Billy Joe Saunders or you know, the guy that just beat Langford, Adnan Ortiz, the little knockout. He's like 5'5", middleweight.
Yeah.
Knocking everybody out.
Yep.
We've been trying to get him before he beat Antoine Douglas. We were supposed to fight him January 2015 before we fought Golovkin, and he pulled out on. And then we were trying to get Antoine Douglas, and then Antoine Douglas turned us down. So then we had to fight Ryan Vera. Mm-hmm. You know, after that, you know, after the comeback fight, we were trying to get Adnan Ortiz. We tried to get Deverchenko. We tried to get Kitrov. All of these guys that are just coming through knocking guys out. Supposed to be these Billy Badasses. Excuse my lack of better words. But they're supposed to be these Billy Badasses. That's what we've been looking for. We're not going and looking for an up-and-coming guy who has nothing to his name, or we're not going looking for guys that they say can't punch, so we think it's an easy fight. Y'all got these knockouts, and y'all got these guys, you know, coming from the Ukraine, from Russia, from you know, parts of former Soviet countries, who are coming over here and knocking everybody out. That's what we're asking for. You know, give me one of them knockout guys. Don't give me no easy fight. Give me one of those knockout guys.
Much respect.
We can't get the call back. You know, I've asked about Charlo.
I was going to say, Jamal Charlo has vacated his belt at 154, moved up to 160. What's going on with that? Is that a fight that you would take, obviously?
Absolutely, that's a fight I would take. You know, I think both of them are tremendous fighters. You know what I mean? And why not make, you know, good fights? You know, the boxing world is kind of sad, man, because the fans put the pressure on a fighter to stay undefeated. Mm-hmm. And there's so many great talents in boxing that guys end up ducking other great talents so they can fight lesser guys to stay undefeated. Because after one loss, you're a bum.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is crazy to me.
Fight fans don't realize that as well as you're a fight fan, you ruin the sport. You know what I mean? You almost like, fight fans almost put their, casual fight fans, I should say, put their foot in their mouth. Because they'll say, like, I get like the trolls and stuff on Twitter who will tell me everything about myself. oh, you only got 6 knockouts, or you lost to this guy, but then in the same breath they'll say no one knows you. I'm like, wait a minute, how does everybody know all of this about me, but no
one knows you, right?
You know what I'm saying? It's an oxymoron, and a lot of these fans, and this is one thing I respect about MMA and UFC. A guy could have 5 or 6 losses and still be considered a top fighter, a top contender, and you always get great fights because he's battle tested, he's been there, he's been up and down the ranks, and they make exciting fights. And it's hard to make exciting fights in boxing when after 1 or 2 losses you're considered a journeyman or a bum. So you got all these guys who are undefeated or have no more than 2 losses, and they're trying to get all of the easy fights because they understand once I get to that spot to where I'm about 5 losses in, my career is pretty much over because of the fight fans.
Right.
The fight fans make it hard for boxers to want to. I personally, I think Jamal Charlo, both brothers. I think Canelo Alvarez. I think Triple G. I think all of these top guys, they definitely want to fight other top guys, but they understand the undertone of if I lose or don't look good winning, then I'm a bum.
Yeah.
So it becomes a business move. Do I fight a good guy and risk losing this, or do I fight a guy that I know can't beat me and keep looking good and maximize my money?
Exactly. And that's just the unfortunate thing. And that's one thing that we at Die Hard hope to do is we need, as fight fans, you got to respect the game. You got to respect that every time a person steps into that square circle, they're putting their lives on the line. So you can't consider a person a bum. And then I don't know when the cultural shift came to where 1 or 2 losses disqualifies you from top competition. That's beyond insane to me. Being a diehard fan of the sport myself, I just think that's crazy. So I think the onus is on the fight fans. To your point, the casual fans alike, you gotta get over yourself and demand the top fight, the best fight and the best, no matter what the record is. We want the fight. If you want the fight, you can't have it either way. As you move up in competition, it's going to be tougher. Those losses will come, but you still got to respect what they've done in the sport. Because, Willie, your losses were few. First and foremost, just 2 losses on your record and your professional record. And from losing to Boone to Golovkin, those were years in between. Like, what you've come back to do, and just your story is inspiring of never giving up, wanting to quit at a point because of what fight fans do and what the politics in boxing and everything you went through. And as soon as you one loss, they vilify you. Or if there's promotional issues, they vilify you. If they like a fighter over you, they vilify you. So we have to take some onus on ourselves to say, look at what he's done in the sport. Respect the sweet signings. So I got you. I'm with you 110% on that. And so we've been at this for a while, and I appreciate your time. One of the things I want to get is some fight predictions from you, because I know that I'm looking at your Instagram page and I'm seeing some of the boxers that you develop a friendship with. Andre SOG Ward. He has a huge fight coming up. And before we actually go to the Ward and Kovalev fight, if I can have a little more of your time, we have a big fight coming up this weekend at the welterweight division. Errol Spence Jr. versus Kell Brook. Who are you riding with?
Honestly, that's a 50-50 fight. I have a couple different things to say about this fight. Number one, I think the boxing world should thank Errol Spence and Kell Brook for taking this fight. Because they could have both went totally different ways and avoided each other, and fought other welterweights and kept winning like a lot of these other fighters were doing. These 2 dudes are going at each other. And we're talking 2 top welterweights. And when I say top welterweights, I'm not talking about top contenders. I'm talking 2 of the best welterweights in the world today are fighting each other. So we have to thank both of them for the same way I said we should thank Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, because they could have both both have titles. They could have both just fought mandatories and kept racking up wins. They went at each other, and they're both young. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't do that. They wait and wait and wait until 15 years down the road, and then the fight ain't good as it could have been.
It could, right.
So, and I also like to say, we got to thank Sean Porter, because Sean Porter is another guy who will fight anybody, and it had it not been for Sean Porter taking the risk of putting his title on the line against a little bit of an unknown Kell Brook at that time.
Yeah.
Kell Brook wasn't really known to the American public until he beat Sean Porter. And Sean Porter had, you know what I mean, the balls to say, listen, he's a tough fighter. I know he's not that known, but I'll fight him.
That's right.
That's what turned Kell Brook into a bit of a sucker here in America. But I think it's a 50-50 fight. You know, obviously, EJ he's American. You know, I know him, you know, on a one-on-one basis. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping he brings that belt back to America. But I do have to be real. This is a 50-50 fight.
That's right.
And Errol Spence, you got to commend him, man. He's going over to the Lions, and he's going over to another man's backyard.
Yeah.
To take his belt from him.
To take his belt, right.
I'm just excited to see the outcome. You know, it's a 50-50 fight. And I'm hoping Errol Spence bring it back. But this is going to be an awesome fight. And to my big bro, Andre Ward.
Yes.
I see him stopping Kovalev in 10.
Come on with it, Willie. Yep, I'm actually going out to that fight. Will you be in attendance?
I think I will be in attendance for that fight. Me and my brother may be there, because we were there for the first one. And, you know, Andre Ward is a really good friend of mine. I call him my big bro. And when I say big bro, I'm not talking about the whole Floyd Mayweather, Adrian Broner, big bro thing like this. Andre Ward is like, you know, I consider him really a brother, you know what I mean? He drops jewels on me all the time, you know what I mean? He'll text me scripture, and, you know, one time I was on the phone with him for about an hour, and we were just talking about, you know, our journeys and how God works and everything, and he really opened my eyes up on a different level. He's really just a really good person, man, all around, inside and out of the ring. And, you know, with his intellect, his work ethic, his talent, I see him stopping Kovalev inside of 10 rounds. And everybody laughed. And you know what? After the fight, I'll tell you why. I'm not going to give it away now, but after the fight, we'll do an interview, and I'll tell you why.
Thank you. I would love to do an interview with you. And if you're there, I got to link up with you if you have time. While you're out in Vegas, because I already got my tickets. It's already booked. I have to go. He's absolutely my favorite fighter. I've been following Ward since the 2004 Olympics. And from there to his pro career, Super 6. So he's a hell of a fighter, and definitely somebody to look up to in the sport. So I love the fact that y'all have such a close relationship, and that you drop jewels on each other, I'm sure. So...
Yeah, I've been following Ward since about 2002.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you've been on it.
Yeah, because, Andre Ward was so, you know, I was still young, but I was at a lot of the big tournaments.
Yeah.
And there was some junior open and open tournaments where I fought in the same tournaments where Andre Ward was, but I was junior open because I'm younger than him. And, man, I'm a big fan of Roy Jones. And then the amateurs, you know what I mean, I tried to mimic Roy, and that, you know, that was my idol. Yeah. And the person that I saw that came closest to Roy Jones was Andre Ward. You know, in the amateurs, he threw the fast punches. He was so fast on his feet.
Yeah.
He threw the double and triple hooks and stuff like Roy. I just say, like that dude right there can fight like, you know, Roy Jones. And, you know, Andre Ward had the braids and stuff. I remember back when he had the braids, you know. And
yes.
I still want to tell you too, like right before he fought Shelby Pudwell, when they put the Super 6 together, a friend of mine was in the gym, and he called me. He was out in LA, out in Oakland, and I was here in New York. And he said, "Look, man, I got your big bro on the phone over here. You know, I'm gonna let you."